Hosted by you/I am a big jerk. I'll preface all of this by saying I am a reformed cheater, and I know that I messed up. Let's start with the backstory. I met my wife in high school. We dated for 3 years but broke up in the middle of senior year. We stayed broken up for a little over a year. During that year, I dated a little, fooled around a little, hooked up with a couple of girls, but mostly hung out with friends. Nothing serious. We got back together, and everything was great. At 21, we had our first child and got married. My daughter changed my life. I went from a nerdy video game slacker to a highly ambitious IT professional overnight. I found a great job, got promoted quickly, and started to travel for work. At 24, we had our second child. Before having kids, our bedroom life was pretty great, anywhere from 2 to 5 times a week. But after the second one, it was maybe once every other month, usually less. I met someone who worked at one of the locations I traveled to. Similar situation, young, married with kids, no segs. It started innocently, as it always does, but eventually, we decided we loved our spouses but still needed relief. Rather than run the risk of getting emotionally involved, we agreed to just have no strings attached fun when I was in town. When I wasn't in town, we'd talk like friends/co-workers and flirt lightly, but that was it. This arrangement allowed us both to explore some intimate kinks we had never shared with our spouses, the kind of stuff I didn't get to do when I was single for that year. We did this for about a year and a half, which ended up being about 6 visits. We both decided that while it was nice to have playful, no strings attached fun, we should really refocus our energy on trying to fix our dry marriages. And I did. I completely put all my energy into rekindling the fire of passion in my marriage. It didn't really work, but everything outside of the bedroom was perfect, so I decided I was okay with very little sex because she is an amazing woman, and I didn't want to break up a great family just because I'm not getting any action. I also made a vow to stay faithful, which I did. Then, about 2 years ago, my wife found a video on the laptop of me and my secret bedroom buddy. I came clean about everything, admitted I was wrong, and vowed to prove that I was worth trusting. She had some requirements that I accepted without question. I stopped hanging out with friends, stopped playing any and all video games, no longer chatted on MSN with friends, spent very limited time on the internet, switched jobs, helped out more around the house, and gave her full access to my email, etc. Basically, I decided I would cut out everything that could be a distraction from rebuilding trust. It's 2 years later, and I'm confused. I've been faithful for more than 3 years now and done everything asked of me and more. I've made such major changes in my life and who I am to prove that I can be trusted, but it's made very little difference. There's still almost no bedroom intimacy, and she is still very, very mistrusting. She can have a Facebook account, but I can't. She can go out with friends occasionally, but I can't. I can play a video game, but only if it has no online or chat component. We did counseling for about 6 months, and the therapist did say she saw improvements and that I was making a serious effort to prove my trustworthiness and was unlikely to cheat again. My wife didn't like sharing details of our life and felt it wasn't helping. Recently, a girl I knew in high school contacted me and made it very clear she'd be interested in a sex-only relationship. I told her no, but it made me start to wonder how much punishment I should endure. I feel that I've tried as hard as I can, and I want things to get better. But I refuse to spend the next 70 years apologizing and walking around with my tail between my legs. At the same time, I don't want to be a weekend-only dad, that would be the end of me. And I still very, very much love my wife. I just don't know what to do. Update 6 days later. First, let me say thank you to everyone who commented. I read all of them, and they helped me more than I can ever express. Thank you, Reddit. What a difference a week makes. I came to Reddit a mere 5 days ago, and the life I had last week is nearly unrecognizable from the one I have today. Wall of text ahead. After reading all the comments last week, I decided I'm not a prisoner, and things had to change. I made plans to go out with friends I hadn't seen in over a year on Friday night. On Thursday night, I sat down with my wife to try to reopen communication, letting her know that I have needs and wants that aren't being met, and that if we are going to make this work, then some changes have to happen. She is my partner, not my warden. She took it pretty well and seemed to understand where I was coming from and recognized the huge amount of work I've put into myself in this relationship. It felt like a fairly major breakthrough. We even discussed picking a new therapist and giving that another try. But there was something nagging me the whole time. A Redditor mentioned that he went through something similar but eventually found out his wife was also cheating, which explained the Alcatraz-style lockdown on his life. I don't know why, but I couldn't shake this thought. I know my wife wouldn't cheat, but she's also a reasonable person, so why the hell have I been on house arrest for 2 years? After a couple of days, the thought got the better of me, and I put a keylogger on our laptop. I did this Thursday afternoon. Friday comes, and I am excited to see my buddies. We talked a little before I left. She was apprehensive but understood that this is necessary to rebuild lasting trust in our relationship. And, like Reddit suggested, I hardly had anything to drink, answered texts and phone calls in a timely fashion, and got home 20 minutes before I said I would as a show of good faith. My wife was already in bed but sleepily asked how the night went, and I said it was great. Saturday morning, we discussed it at length. She seemed genuinely happy and understanding, and I was beaming from ear to ear. Not only did I get to see my buddies, but it also appeared that I was making headway in my relationship. Win-win. And while I was on this euphoric high, I decided that trust isn't built with a keylogger. It was dumb to install it, and it would only create paranoia in me. I should also mention that while she has full access to my email, I have the same access to hers and her Facebook. So, really, the keylogger seemed like overkill. I went to uninstall it. Of course, curiosity gets the best of me, and I checked the very limited 2.5 days worth of logs. Nothing jumps out at me: Amazon, Facebook, YouTube, Gmail, etc. I get to the end of the log, and it's looking good. Until I see another trip to Gmail, this time for an account I've never seen before. I remain calm. I keep an old Hotmail account for spam/sign up stuff and have advised her to do the same, only letting friends know her real email. Either way, I log into the new account. No spam, no nothing, it's empty. Just a bunch of empty folders. Until I hit the tax information folder. Now, this folder is full. Full as in hundreds of emails. However, none of it is tax related. All of it is to or from Steve. I have a 65-year-old step-uncle named Steve, but this is not him. I don't know who this Steve is. These emails are graphic, lots of talk about what he likes to do to her and what she likes to do to him. Lots of last weekend was amazing type stuff. So, after reading maybe 30 of these, I decide I need to stop. I made a new Gmail account and forwarded all of the emails to this account. Then I went back and deleted my tracks. I stayed somewhat calm during all of this. It sucks, but I cheated, so I'm now experiencing what she did when she found out about me. While forwarding the emails, I paid closer attention to the dates. This affair has been going on for a very long time, going all the way back to roughly a year before my son was born, or 1.5 years before I cheated. That hits me like a ton of bricks. What if my son isn't mine? What if my 1-year-old baby girl isn't mine? I completely lose it. I verify that my tracks are covered and bolt out of the house, saying I'm going to the gym. I sit in my car for 2 hours, crying at the thought that they might not be mine, and wondering how I can ever move forward. I have no idea how to confront her. I head home and find her best friend there. They've decided they want to go to a movie. I'm still in shock, so I just nod. I need time to process anyway. So, I put the kids to bed and try to figure out how I'm going to talk to her about this. I decide to check her secret Gmail again. She emailed him 4 hours earlier, telling him she'd have an hour after the movie to meet up. I check the time, the movie should be done or close to it. I start calling her cell, repeatedly. No answer. I call about 10 times, still no answer. It's 1 a.m., and I'm sitting on the couch when she walks in. She's surprised to see me up and asks if I'm feeling okay. Huh. I stand up right in front of her and say I'm fine. Then I ask, why didn't you pick up the phone? She says she was in a movie and couldn't talk, and then forgot to check it when she headed to the bar for one drink. She starts making her way to the stairs, and I say, how is Steve doing? Her face goes white. Your Uncle Steve? No, the Steve you just got done screwing 20 minutes ago. How is he? She says nothing. I tell her I found the Gmail account. I saw her email planning to meet him after the movie tonight. With what little composure I have left, I ask, why didn't you come clean when you found out about me cheating? We could have fixed this together. She starts bawling and runs upstairs. I follow her. What ensues is the worst 4 hours of my life. She comes clean, admitting that she met Steve back when she was working. He was a temp. I ask again why she didn't come clean 2 years ago so we could both work on this. She says she was too hurt by what I did and too ashamed to admit her own affair. She claims she told Steve she needed to end it and wanted to work on our marriage, and says she tried, but about 8 months later, she hooked up with him again, and it all started over. I ask why the prison rules. She says it's because she loves me and didn't want me to leave. I explain that, while it wasn't right, I cheated because we weren't having bedroom intimacy. But obviously, she was having sex elsewhere, so she didn't need it at home. So I ask why she cheated, because I know that before Steve, we had bedroom intimacy 2 to 3 times a week, and she came 1 to 2 times each time. She says Steve was relentless in pursuing her, which made her feel appealing, and that the relationship was taboo, which added a thrill. Do you love him? To which she says no, but admits she liked the thrill and the taboo. I could go on and on, I asked a million questions. Eventually, I ask the big question, are the 2 youngest kids mine? She assures me they are. I ask how she can be so sure, and her response is that she just knows. But despite what she says, she has no way, without a blood test, to assure me they are mine. I am crushed on so many levels. I stand up and head for the door. She stops me, begging for forgiveness and promising that we can work this out. She says I can impose harsh rules if I want, watch her every move, and she'll do anything to fix this. I calmly tell her I have no interest in being a warden, and that I need to go for a walk. I walk for an hour, then come home and crash on the couch. Sunday was beyond awkward. I said very little to her. I spent the day studying my 2 youngest, trying to find my traits in them. Every time I thought I saw something, I was struck by the fact that I don't know what Steve looks like. Maybe he has big ears too, and that's where my son gets them. We talked briefly Sunday night. Despite wanting to ask more and understand more, my soul just wasn't in it. So, We went to bed separately, and I lay awake to the sound of her crying upstairs. It felt good to get that out. I'm not sure what to do from here. Part of me thinks neither of us will ever truly trust the other again. But another part of me remembers that she could have left 2 years ago, either to be alone or to be with Steve. She gave me another chance, and I'm a better person for having had that chance. Wouldn't it be hypocritical of me to end this because of infidelity? Doesn't she deserve a chance to prove herself and improve herself, just like I have? Edit. I got home from work, and she had taken the kids to her parents for a sleepover. She kept trying to get me to say what I thought or felt, but I stayed pretty quiet. I told her I didn't know what I thought or felt yet. I know I need to talk to her, but all I feel like doing is lying on the couch with some beer and watching Futurama until I pass out. She eventually got me to talk. I basically said that I don't know what to do, but I think, at the very least, we need some separation and therapy if we're going to attempt to fix this. She wasn't happy about the separation part, but I put my foot down. I've been trapped in my house for 2 years. Maybe she doesn't love me but rather loves the idea of us. She saw my point and said she did love me, but understood that some time apart might help. Second update 6 months later. Hello Reddit, it's been a few months. I'd just like to say right away that you all helped so much. Wall of text, as always. Well, it's been 6 months since I found out my wife had been cheating, and a lot has changed. After finding out, the first thing I did was get the kids' DNA tested. Then I spent the next 2 weeks sleeping on the couch and having endless conversations with my wife. The more we talked, the more I felt like the world's biggest chump. I had poured my soul into fixing the relationship and was racked with guilt while she was out screwing some guy. But I also couldn't see myself just walking away. She'd been in my life since we were 15, we are 29. So, I agreed to start therapy immediately and see how I felt after talking to someone else. To say the therapist was a bit shocked by our story is an understatement. This lady was pretty blunt in saying that nearly all of our problems stemmed from my wife's actions and that she needed counseling just for herself, in addition to the couple sessions. While we were in therapy, I moved out and crashed with my best friend but demanded the house on the weekends so I could be with the kids. My other conditions were that she cut off all contact with Steve and that we talk openly about everything. Any lies, even white lies, and I would be done. I also wanted full control of the bills and budget. She complied. I never divulged that it was a keylogger that helped me find out what was going on. She just assumed that she had stayed logged into her secret Gmail account, and I didn't correct her, a jerk move, but I figured that since I'd been lied to for 3+ years, I had the right to do a bit of spying. This puts us at roughly 4 weeks after I found out, and finally, the results from the kids' DNA tests came back. All mine. That was such a relief that I can't even describe it. It almost felt like I didn't care what happened with my wife anymore because I knew my kids were mine, and I'd always have them. And one thought stuck in my mind the whole time. I can accept that people make mistakes, but if she loved me, she had the chance to come clean about her mistake when she caught me, but instead, she put me on lockdown for years. Who does that to someone they love? I just couldn't stop thinking about that. Therapy was going well, but I was becoming jealous and angry. Always upset. I was away from home all week, and then on the weekends, I'd tear apart the laptop trying to find out what she'd been doing in my absence. She was checking her secret email, and Steve was continuing to email her, though she never responded. That was the breaking point. She hadn't shut down the email like I had asked, and while she wasn't responding, she was still checking the emails. It almost felt like she was keeping her safety net around so she could go back if things didn't work out. Or maybe not, I don't know. But I didn't want to be angry and jealous all the time. I didn't want to be a warden. The next day, I confronted her and told her I couldn't forgive what she had done. I told her I could probably move past the cheating, but the way I was treated was terrible. I explained how I had pushed friends out of my life and shut myself off from the world to work on us, only to find out I was being kept prisoner so she could keep screwing her affair partner. She broke down crying, saying she'd do anything to salvage the relationship, but it fell on deaf ears. That Monday, I contacted an attorney. Fast forward 4.5 months, and I have my own place, the divorce is nearly final, and I'm finally starting to feel like me again. We are going for 50-50 custody. I've been reconnecting with friends and trying to find new hobbies for when I don't have the kids. I've been on 2 dates because a couple of friends wanted to double date, thinking it would help me. It was nice to meet new girls, but I'm just nowhere near ready to trust anyone. Part of me thinks I'll just put off dating until the kids are out of high school. The kids are sad that we aren't together, but we keep all of this away from them, no arguing in front of them and no bashing the other when they aren't around. But either way, I think I'm on the road to recovery.